Welcome back to FF Jack Gaming, and if this is your first time watching the channel, welcome to the channel. If you like the content that we put out, like, subscribe, or hit that little bell icon to be notified about any kind of our content down in the future. So today we're jumping into the Magic the Gathering world. Specifically, we're diving into the format of Legacy. Today's deck tech is featuring combo Elves. This deck, you want to end up trying to swarm the board with a bunch of different elves to be able to play threats such as Cratorhoof Behemoth or Progenitus as early as turn 2, maybe 3. Without further ado, let's dive into the deck tech. So we're going to be starting off with our sorceries. We have 11 in total, 4 of which is Glimpse of Nature, a sorcery that costs 1 green, and whenever you play a creature spell, draw a card. That allows us to be able to cycle through our deck. Green Sun Zenith is our next card of a 4 of. We have a green and X. Search your library for a green creature with a converted mana cost of X or less. Put it onto the battlefield and then shuffle your library. Make sure you shuffle Green Sun Zenith back into its owner's library. And then we have a 3 of Natural Order. A 2 green and 2 sorcery. As an additional cost to cast Natural Order, we have to sacrifice a green creature, and then we get to fetch any green creature in our deck and put it on the battlefield. So this is one way that we'll be able to cast Cratorhoof or Progenitus. So say they all say green, so we can end up fetching them out with either Green Sun Zenith by paying a bunch of mana, 11 mana for Progenitus, and then 9 mana for Cratorhoof. Or we could tap one of our little elves and sacrifice them to be able to bring those guys out for 4 mana. Over to the 1 of Planeswalker that we have, Nissa the Vital Force. It's a 3 mana and 2 green, and it comes in with 5 loyalty. +1, untap a target land you control until end of turn. It becomes a 5/5 elemental creature with haste and it's still a land. -3, return a target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. -6, you get an emblem whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. You may draw a card. So she lets us do some untapped shenanigans with a couple of lands that we end up having. We'll cover that once we hit the land section. Alright, so now we're going to get to the meat and the potatoes of the deck. The creatures. We have 29 creatures altogether. I ended up breaking it down to different types of the creatures, however. So we're going to start off with the Elves, which we have 22 of those altogether. We have 4 of Heritage Druid. It's a green mana. Then we use it to tap 3 untap Elves and gain 3 green mana. It's a 1/1. So something unique, we could do that even when she just comes to the battlefield. Followed by 4 of Nettle Sentinels, which costs 1 green, and Nettle Sentinel doesn't untap during your untap phase. Whenever you cast a green spell, you may untap Nettle Sentinel. Birchlore Ranger, which comes in as a 2 of, lets us tap 2 untap elves you control. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Corian Ranger comes in with a 3 of, for 1 green, return a forest you control to its owner's hands. Untap a target creature. Use this ability only once each turn. So this lets us end up bouncing a land to untap our combo pieces. Next is a 2 of Llanowar Elves, which costs 1 green mana, and it lets us tap for a green mana. Then a 1 of Elves Mystic, which is a 1 green mana, that lets us tap for 1 green mana as well. Elvis Visionary is a 4 of, which costs 1 green and 1, and whenever Visionary enters the battlefield, draw a card. We have a 1 of Priest of Titania, which is a green and 1, and it lets us tap for a green mana for each elf that we have in play. Play this ability as a mana source. So when we're talking about untapping, this is one of those cards that we want to be constantly untapping to be able to use and abuse. Reclamation Sage is a 1 of, costs 1 green mana and 2, And when that reclamation stage enters the battlefield, you may destroy a target artifact or enchantment. Getting rid of those pesky enchantments. The next one is going to be the insects of the group, or aka more untapping shenanigans, with a 4 of Wirewood Symbiotes, which costs 1 green mana. Return an elf you control to its owner's hands. Untap a target creature. Activate this ability only once per turn. Then we're getting back over to the big old beasties that we're going for. Cratorhoof Behemoth comes in at 2. It costs 5 colorless mana and 3 green. It has haste. Whenever Cratorhoof Behemoth enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn. X is where the number of creatures come into play. That's where our go wide strategy with Elves comes into play. Because when he comes into play, all of our Elves end up getting boosted by however many that we have, and then that also includes him as well. If we're playing against control or other stuff that we know like bounce, we bring out Progenitus. Costs 2 of each color. It's a Hydra avatar, and it has protection from everything. If Progenitus would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, reveal Progenitus and shuffle it into its owner's library. It's a 10/10, so keeping people on a clock. So we're able to cast Progenitus with Birch Lore and pretty much any untapping effect, tap them, bounce a land to our hand, or we'll also be able to use Wirewood to bounce a creature back over and keep untapping and tapping to be able to cast that mana. Now we're going to move into like a little cheeky creature / land creature that we have. We have 2 Dryad Arbors, which is able to be fetched with either a Green Sun Zenith at 0, or we can end up fetching it with our fetch lands that we have. Talking about fetch lands, we have 4 Variant Catacombs. We get to pay 1 life, sacrifice Variant Catacombs, search your library for a swamp or a forest card, and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. We also have 1 Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, which is a legendary land. Add 1 colorless mana, or we could pay 2, tap it, choose a color, and add that much mana to your mana pool, equal to your devotion. So with us spewing out a bunch of elves, we'll be able to have a whole bunch of colorless or green mana coming out of that. We have a Bayou, which is one of the original dual lands that taps for a green or a black. We have 1 of Cavern of Souls, which as Cavern of Souls enters the battlefield, we get to choose a creature type. Tap it to add 1 colorless mana, or we can tap it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells of the chosen type. That spell cannot be countered. Then we're currently running 8 forests. However, 3 of the forests is going to become Gaia's Cradles. We just got to end up trying to acquire them. Gaia's Cradles is a land, which is a legendary land that enters the battlefield. And then when you tap it, you gain green mana equal to the amount of creatures that you have on the battlefield. And then we're also going to have 1 more Cavern of Souls. And then the game plan will be 4 basics in the deck, just in case of anything like Wasteland and stuff like that. That covers the main deck. What do you think of it? Let us know down in the comments. What kind of changes would you end up doing? Also let us know in the comments. With us having the main board covered, let's cover the sideboard. Starting off with 5 different enchantments, 2 of which is Choke, costs 1 green and 2. Islands don't untap during the controller's phase. This is keeping those islands tapped. That way they get 1 chance to be able to use that island. And then we got also a 3 of Leyline of the Void. It costs 2 black and 2. If Leyline of the Void is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. If a card would be put into the opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. This main idea is Dredge or Reanimator. Next is going to be Instants, which we have 5 in total as well. Surgical Extraction costs 1 Phyrexian Black. You can sacrifice 2 life to be able to look at their graveyard, select that card, dig that out, and also go through the library and get rid of all copies with them, and they are exiled. Abrupt Decay is a black and a green. Abrupt Decay can't be countered by spells or abilities. Destroy a target non-land permanent that costs 3 or less. Assassin's Trophy, which is a green and a black. Destroy a target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic card and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle their library. That's removing anything that we didn't really have any answers to. Like either like a combo piece or something like that. Talking about combo, that lets us jump over to our sorceries, which we have 3 of Thoughtseize. It's a 1 black. Target player reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card and you lose 2 life. And final and not least is our creature package. We have 1 Malera Sylvan Outcast, which is a 1 cardless and a green. You can't get poison counters. Creatures you control can't have -1/-1 counters placed on them. And creatures your opponents control lose Infect. Yes, this is our silver bullet against Infect. And then we have 1 Scavenging Ooze, which costs 1 mana and a green. Pay 1 green, exile a card from a graveyard. If that card was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on a Scavenging Ooze and you gain 1 life. Again, anti-graveyard stuff and life gain. So if we're playing against like mono red, the big nemesis for that is life gain. So that's what we have built up with that. Any questions? Put it down in the comments. So that covers our deck tech for Combo Elves and Legacy. If you have any suggestions or anything like that, put it down in the comments down below. Till next time, see you later.